Ollie was taking some classes at the local community college, just trying to beef up some of his knowledge base. And he had made good friends with a lady named Paula. Paula had some chemistry knowledge and some robotics knowledge and a bunch of interesting things that she knew about. And she was learning about new things. Together, they were in a class that was about electromagnetic radiation of all types. And then one day, Ollie and Paula were leaving class together, and I said, "All right, well, cool. I'll see you tomorrow, Paula." She says, "Oh, actually, no, I'm going on a trip. Oh, I won't be here tomorrow." Says, "Oh, you gonna miss class?" "Yeah, I am, unfortunately. Yep, but these things happen." Anyway, see you at the class after that, I imagine. And off she went. And I thought, all right, well, it's a little odd, but okay. Because after all, when you're going to community college like that, you're paying to go, so you don't really want to miss classes. It's like paying for a cookie and then never eating it. And that's true for regular school too, but especially for school that you pay for. But I said, she can make her own decisions. I want to learn a little bit more about gamma radiation, which was the next lesson. They've been learning all about radio waves and how they're transmitted and used. It's been a big section because we use radio waves for so many things here on Earth that there's a lot to go over. Shh. So that was Wednesday, and the next class was Friday. Well, I didn't think much of it until he was arriving to class on the Friday, and as he was pulling in, he heard some stuff on the radio about some slime downtown. He was only half paying attention though, because he was thinking some more about radio waves and gamma waves, and what that all might mean, and also thinking about a couple of his cases. He was looking forward to seeing Paula. He'd kind of forgotten that she wasn't going to be there. Somebody sat down, and the class started, and she wasn't there. He was like, "Oh, right, she's gone." Ollie's phone began to ring in his pocket. Now he had it on silent, so it wouldn't disrupt the class, but it was vibrating, and he let it, he let it stop, and then it started vibrating again, and he got a couple of text messages. You could feel it from the way it vibrates in the pocket, and he's getting a bunch. Lie down. And I thought, all right, I should take a look. So he pulled out his phone as subtly as he could, and took a look. And there were calls from the mayor, there was calls from the chief of police, there were text messages from both of those people, and from some of his friends. And the one text message that sort of popped up in the little preview window when Ollie looked at his phone was from Wally the Wizard. And it said, "Ollie, where are you? There's a giant monster attacking the city." I thought, oh no. And so, opened his phone and started reading his messages. Yeah, especially the text messages. And yeah, there was a giant slime monster attacking downtown. I thought, oh no. It's not good. Where did Paula say she was going? Is she going downtown? Hope not. Anyway, started flipping through it, trying to gather his information. Wasn't paying at all attention to the lecture on gamma waves. And that's about when the teacher noticed that Mr. Octopus, always snapped his attention up front. "Is there something important going on that you feel the need to pay attention to instead of my class?" Ollie sheepishly said, "I'm sorry, sir. Actually, there is something going on. Well, I'm sure we would all love to hear about it." "You should probably turn on the news. There's an attack." "An attack? What happened?" The professor totally lost his sort of disgruntled professor demeanor at that. But yeah, there's a giant slime monster attacking downtown. "Oh, that's right. You do end up helping out with some of that stuff, don't you?" I said, "I do. Yeah." And so they've been I'm getting texts and calls from city people and some friends that live kind of near downtown. Looks pretty bad. Well, Ollie, I don't hand out excused absences in my class lightly, but if the city needs you to go and vanquish a giant slime monster, that seems like a pretty good thing for me to make an exception for. Do you need to go and help with that? I said, I'm sorry. I think I better. Ollie, we appreciate what you do for the city. We can, you know what? Send me an email. We can set up a phone call or something. I can go for the rest of the lecture with you. You go do your thing, man. I said, all right, thanks. Sorry, everybody. It's Ollie. He'd taken the bus there, but he got his backpack and he went into the parking lot. He thought, all right. I should get there fast. Let me call Harry. So I called. A cheerful voice answered, Harry the Hawk, Transportation Services. How can I help you? I said, Harry, it's Ollie. Ollie, oh, yeah. I bet you wanted to get downtown, huh? I said, I am. Yeah, so you seen the news? Seen the news. I've seen the thing. I've seen the monster slime thing. I was flying over down there. I'm glad it didn't notice me. Okay, I'm at this community college. Can you come get me? I'm in the south parking lot. I said, yep, sure. About 5 minutes. All right. So Ollie waited. He responded to some of the text messages from the mayor and the chief of police saying, I'm on my way. I've got transportation. And seeing that what the news reports, trying to gather as much information as he could. And here's what he kind of figured out. It was a sort of a jelly-looking slime. Thicker than the jelly you might, thicker than a green apple jelly. Not quite as thick as like a gummy bear. It had flow. It didn't hold its shape. It seemed to be moving. And it was clear, but there were lots of bubbles and ripples, and you couldn't see through it, but you could sort of see into it. What color is it? It was, in fact, green. It was green. The classic slime, exactly. And it was a little hard to gauge how big it was exactly, because it's hard to estimate the volume. But when it was sort of gathered up in more or less one intersection, it was about 5 stories tall. So it was a big chunk of slime. When Harry the Hawk arrived, Ollie had more questions. I said, is it leaving like a trail? Is it like a slug, or does it hold itself together? Sweetheart, shh. Right over there. Harry said, I didn't think to look for that detail. Let's go to it. Let's get down there. I'll tell you anything else I noticed on the way down. So, Harry, shh, seriously, be quiet. You can't listen if you're muttering to yourself over there. So they started flying. Harry picked Ollie up, 2 arms in each of, no, they're really arms more than legs. So maybe you should listen. 2 of Ollie's arms in each of Harry's talons. So he had 4 arms left to, sort of dangle. Not important. Anyway, so they headed down there. I said, all right, what else have you noticed? I said, well, it's kind of following the roads. Marin, stop. You asked for the story, honey. You're being very rude. But, so it's like moving with intention. But it's hard to tell. I mean, it's something that big would kind of have to follow the roads. It seems to be all downtown. I'm not sure where it came from. Does it seem to be going anywhere? No, not really. It's kind of wandering around. It stayed for a while in front of the courthouse house, where there's that, there's a little square there. Yeah. That spot with the fountains and the benches where, if the restaurants were open, it'd be really cool, but they aren't. I said, yeah, that's the one exactly. Yeah, right across from the main courthouse building, like the entrance the jurors go into. Yeah, so it's got stuck there, huh? I don't know if it got stuck there or if it just stayed there because it liked it. It's hard to tell, but it was there for like 10 minutes. I said, let's go there. That might be a good place to make some observations, and then we'll find the actual thing itself. As they were flying that way, they spotted it. It was no longer there at the square. It kind of headed uptown towards Mount Vernon, but they dropped down in the square there in front of the courthouse. First of all, I noticed that there was a little bit of wetness here and there, but it wasn't like everything was covered in slime. Shh! Quiet over there, right now. The other thing Ollie noticed, though, was that all the leaves were gone from the trees. All the grass was eaten down to the roots, it looked like. The greenery, the plants weren't dead, but they were stripped of everything green. And some of the smaller plants that were, they were definitely suffering. Some of the bushes, the leaves and the flowers were all gone. But I noticed that there were some sort of wet, bedraggled looking birds and squirrels. So whatever it was eating plant life, but didn't seem to be eating animal life. Then I looked around and I noticed that there wasn't really any litter. There's usually, receipts and cigarette butts and, a paper bag or whatever. But it was, other than the little bit of wetness and the disgruntled animals, totally clean. I said, huh. All right, let's follow it. So Harry picked Ollie back up and they flew up toward Mount Vernon. They were kind of over it. It didn't move very fast. About the same pace as you might go, walking. So if you were trying to flee the thing, you'd really just need to walk at a brisk pace and you'd stay ahead of it. It made some noise, kind of a gurgling, burgling noise. I said, here, fly me down there in front of that grocery store. I flew down there and Ollie grabbed a stick. Like, all right, up we go again. I'm going to poke it with a stick. Harry said, the great Ollie the octopus. Your investigatory method is poking it with a stick. I said, yep. Harry said, all right, you're the boss. And he flew close to it. They got close enough. Ollie's stick was about 4 feet long. So they got within about 3 feet of it, and Ollie started poking it. And the stick kind of went in. It wasn't like a hard skin on the slime, but it was thick and hard to poke through. Then Ollie noticed something getting up that close to it, is that it did seem to be moving, and it was kind of being led by the sort of top front of it. That bit, if you looked at the way it was moving, seemed to be dragging the whole thing. I said, can you get down in front of it? Harry said, what do you mean by in front of it? Like, you see how it's kind of going that way? Yeah. And you see how there's kind of like a little bit that's kind of pulling it that way almost? And, oh, yeah, okay, I can see what you mean. Okay, imagine that's like a head. I want you to put me right in front of its eyes. I said, all right. I don't like it, but all right. So Harry flew around to the front, and I got a good close look. And he had in his bag a couple of laser pointers and a very bright flashlight. He'd been experimenting with them as part of the electromagnetic radiation course. So he got his laser pointer and started shining it into the blob. And it penetrated pretty well, especially the blue laser. Yeah, you could see it going in 5-10 feet. And as Ollie sort of scanned around, he noticed something. Kind of in the middle of that space, there was a hard, dark shape. Hard to tell what it was. It looked roughly like a bean shape. Ollie kept trying to shine. He got the other laser pointer out and the flashlight. Remember, he had 4 arms to work with. So he's shining all these things in there, trying to get a good angle on this thing. And he got a little closer and started poking it with the stick. He could almost reach it with the stick. I said, I need a longer stick. He said, I got an idea. Shh. And he flew Harry to where there was a lacrosse store. And they got one of the long stick defense poles. They flew back over, and that one it's more like 6 feet long. And so Ollie started poking at it, and he hit the middle thing, and it felt like a clink. It was like hard and metallic. So, for lack of a better plan, Ollie started just stabbing at it. Whack, 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 and he felt a crack. And he hit it again, and the crack, and it seemed to go through kind of like a really thick eggshell. And Ollie started wrenching on it, kind of wiggling it as it was in there. And he felt a pop. And just like that, the whole blob started to melt. And the stick was sticking into that, whatever the dark shape was. And the whole thing began to sink and melt away. And it was going everywhere. And it was kind of gross. But it seemed to be really just dissolving. Like whatever was in there had been holding it together was no longer holding it together. And so they kind of carefully circled as this thing melted away. And as the hard shape got kind of revealed as the slime went away and the stick fell off. After a couple of minutes, this big bean-shaped object was lying on the street right in front of the old Women's Exchange building. And there, inside the crack of the bean, 2 hands came and started pushing on either side of it. And it was pushing. It's just struggling, and the whole thing was kind of wiggling around and rocking. And then all at once, the thing broke in two right at where Ollie had made the crack with the stick. And Paula emerged, panting. Oh, man. That was not... I'm going to jail. That's for sure. That was not what I thought was going to happen. She started looking around. I said, Ollie? Ollie? What are you doing here? And are you okay? There's a bird. It's got you? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. I said, Harry, you can put me down. I think she's harmless. I said, all right, I'm going to be up here on this light post. Call me if you need me. I'm looking at Paula. What's going on here? I said, I was trying my experiment. I wasn't just in the class to learn in general. I needed to learn about radio wave communication so I could control the blob. But I thought I had it all set. But something went terribly wrong. The controls, once I fired the whole thing up, the blob just seemed to have a mind of its own. I was in there, but I wasn't in control. I think maybe the radio waves weren't penetrating the material of the blob like I wanted them to. So it knew to go and do something, but it didn't know what I wanted it to do. Oh, it's all back to the drawing board. I mean, did I do a lot of damage? I said, well, mostly not. You destroyed you stripped the leaves and greenery off some trees and bushes. You also picked up a lot of litter. Of course, I'm not sure where that litter's going now that your whole blob is dissolving away. Well, I said, yeah, it's going to take a lot of work to remake all that blob material, but hey, I'm safe. I'm probably going to go to jail because I'm sure there was some illegal stuff that I did there, but I think we're going to be all right. I said, yeah, I guess. I'll miss you in class. Paul said, well, we'll see. Maybe they'll go easy on me. It's a good class. I said, yeah, I missed today, though. Paul said, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Gamma rays, right? I said, yeah, the professor seems cool, though. He said he'll let me make it up. Well, Ollie, how can I make it up to you? Then all I know is that they were right in front of a coffee shop. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I bet we've got 5 minutes here or so before the police come. I could really use a cup of coffee. And that was the story of Ollie and the friend's vacation day.